Once upon a time, in a shining kingdom nestled by the mountains, there lived a proud but kind-hearted king. He had 3 beautiful daughters, princesses who adored their father with all their hearts. One sunny afternoon, the king gathered them in the grand hall. He looked at each of them with a warm smile and asked, "My dear daughters, tell me, how much do you love your father?" The eldest princess, with eyes as bright as jewels, stepped forward. "I love you like honey, father, sweet and golden." The king was pleased. "A lovely answer," he declared. Next, the second princess, whose laughter sounded like tiny bells, curtsied gracefully. "I love you like sugar, father, pure and sweet." The king smiled even wider. "Even better," he praised. Finally, it was the youngest princess's turn. She was gentle and sincere, with a quiet strength in her gaze. "Father," she said softly, her voice filled with genuine emotion, "I love you like salt in the food." The king's smile vanished, replaced by a deep frown. "What? Like salt?" he boomed, his voice echoing through the hall. "Salt is plain and cheap. Is that all your love is worth to you? Leave my palace. Leave my sight at once." The entire court gasped in shock. The 2 older sisters exchanged a smug glance, a smirk playing on their lips. With tears streaming down her face, the youngest princess bowed sadly, turned, and walked out of the palace gates, her heart heavy but still full of love for the father who had cast her out. And so, the kindest of the 3 daughters was sent away into exile. Alone and heartbroken, she wandered until she found herself at the edge of a dark, imposing forest. The path ahead looked uncertain, but she took a deep breath and stepped forward. She had nowhere to go, but she never once allowed bitterness to cloud her gentle spirit. As she walked, little birds seemed to follow her, chirping songs of encouragement. A kind deer, noticing her sadness, gently nudged her hand and led her through the dense woods toward a glimmer of light. The princess emerged from the forest and discovered a small, bustling village. True to her nature, she never lost her kindness. She helped an elderly woman carry a heavy basket, shared the last of her bread with a hungry child, and offered a warm smile to everyone she met, even when her own heart was aching with sadness. One afternoon, while drawing water from the village well, she met a young man. He was dressed simply, like a common traveler, but his eyes were gentle and full of warmth. "Are you lost, my lady?" he asked, his voice calm and reassuring. The princess looked up, surprised by his kindness. "Yes, but I'll find my way," she replied, with a hopeful smile. "I believe kindness always leads you home, one way or another." Intrigued by her grace and wisdom, they began to talk. The young man, who was actually a prince in disguise, was so charmed by her spirit that he helped her find work at the nearby royal palace, never suspecting for a moment that this humble, kind-hearted girl was a princess herself. At the palace, the princess found her place in the vast, bustling kitchens. She discovered a hidden talent and a deep passion for cooking. Every meal she prepared tasted special, almost magical. The other cooks marveled at her skill, but her secret was simple. She always added a pinch of love and just the right amount of salt. The young traveler, the prince, found excuses to visit the kitchens often, drawn by the delicious aromas and the cheerful cook who created them. "Your dishes are amazing," he would say, taking a bite of a freshly baked tart. "What's your secret?" The princess would smile shyly, her cheeks turning a light shade of pink. "Just the right amount of salt and the right amount of heart." They would laugh together, a comfortable and easy sound that filled the warm kitchen air. Slowly, a beautiful friendship blossomed into love. He would bring her wildflowers from the royal gardens. She, in turn, would bake him little pies shaped like hearts. But through it all, she kept her true identity a secret, afraid to reveal that she was a princess in exile, unworthy of a home. One day, fate intervened. A grand royal visit was announced. The visiting monarch was none other than the old king, her own father. He arrived at the palace as an honored guest, completely unaware that his youngest daughter now worked as a humble cook in its kitchens. "I am hungry," the old king declared, his voice as commanding as ever. "Serve me your best feast. I wish to taste the finest food your kingdom has to offer." Hearing his voice sent a shiver down the princess's spine. Her hands trembled, but a new determination filled her heart. This was her chance. She would cook for him, not out of spite, but out of love. "I will prepare a meal fit for a king," she announced to the other cooks, her voice steady and clear. "A meal made with salt, love, and forgiveness." She set to work immediately. She prepared a rich, savory soup, a perfectly roasted joint of meat, and loaves of sweet, fluffy bread. Each dish was seasoned to perfection. The prince, still unaware of the guest's identity, watched her with admiration. He helped her carry the magnificent platters to the great hall, proud to be by the side of the woman he had come to love. The feast was laid before the old king. He picked up his spoon and tasted the soup. His eyes widened in astonishment. He then took a bite of the roast and then a piece of the bread. Each mouthful was a revelation. This is wonderful," he exclaimed, his voice filled with genuine delight. "Every single bite is perfect. Who made this incredible meal?" The head cook gestured towards the kitchen entrance. The princess stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She stood before her father, her head held high. "I did, father," she said softly, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "The daughter who loved you like salt in the food." The hall fell into a hushed stillness. The king stared at her, his memory flashing back to that fateful day. His eyes, once full of anger, now filled with tears of regret and understanding. "My child, forgive me," he cried, rising from his throne and rushing to embrace her. "Now I see. For all these years, my food has been tasteless, my feasts joyless. Without salt, food has no taste. Just as without you, my life has had no joy." They held each other in a long, heartfelt embrace, washing away years of pain and misunderstanding. He finally understood everything. So, you're a princess after all, he said, his eyes twinkling. The princess turned to him, a happy blush coloring her cheeks. Only if you still like my cooking, she teased gently. I love everything you make, he replied, taking her hand. And I love everything you are. They both laughed, their hearts full. The old king, seeing the deep affection between them, nodded proudly. You have found true love, he said, his voice thick with emotion. A love that is simple and pure, as essential and precious as salt itself. A grand feast was held to celebrate the princess's return, a feast that quickly turned into a wedding celebration. The palace was filled with joy and laughter. The princess and the prince danced together under the warm glow of 1,000 candles, their happiness radiating throughout the kingdom. The king learned a valuable lesson that the greatest treasures in life, like love, cannot be measured by gold or riches. And the entire kingdom learned to appreciate the profound value of a simple pinch of salt. As the prince and princess stood on the balcony overlooking the celebration, she turned to him and said, True love is like salt, it's simple, sometimes invisible, but it makes everything in life so much better.